Goalie the Goalie Tech Reviews. Today, in my hands again, is the Microsoft Surface Duo. Quite possibly, at least in my opinion, one of the funnest and greatest phones ever made. Let me explain. So just to give you a little background, I had to send my Samsung Z Fold 4 in for repairs. Was having horrible LTE reception, not very good whatsoever. I know, people are like, why don't you use 5G? Well, I'm not a big fan of 5G in my area. It's not very strong. LTE is actually better, and I just prefer using the LTE. But again, really weak signal with that phone. So Samsung arranged the door-to-door service where they pick it up, or actually I drop it off, and it gets sent back in. So in the meantime, I needed to find something to use while my phone was away. In comes the Surface Duo. I searched online for a fair bit, found a used seller on Facebook Marketplace, and got a pretty reasonable price of $350. Unfortunately, there are a couple of things, like a bit of a crack on the bottom, which is really too bad, but of course I just took some of that sort of wrap and wrapped it around the phone to keep it from cracking further, so it's perfectly fine. And there is a bit of a crack on the top of the white siding, but again, not a big deal. I just ran a little bit of glue in there to keep it from getting worse. But of course, inside you have, let me just get this unlocked here, you know, the Surface Duo. And here's the thing. I believe this to be one of the best phones really ever made. You know, when you hold on to the Microsoft Surface Duo, it feels so incredible in your hands. It's so ridiculously thin. Originally, I did a Surface Duo review probably, well, it's got to be at least a year maybe or longer back when I'd first gotten the phone and did an unboxing and was completely blown away by how incredible the phone felt, how incredible it looked. I'd taken, you know, 3 business cards and stacked them together, and that was sort of the thickness of the phone, which when you think about it, I mean, that is incredible when you look at a phone that is razor thin like this one is. Now, of course, since then, we've had a couple of phones released that are fairly thin, including the Honor Magic V2, which I have not yet held in my hands, but it looks pretty incredible nonetheless. So we're definitely catching up with the foldable markets to get into that sort of thinner design. But for me, there's just something about this Microsoft Duo. Yes, the camera is not great, although it isn't horrible. And for somebody who just needs to take a quick shot, you know, it will suffice. It's not something I would want to film a YouTube video on, obviously. You know, the speaker is only the one speaker. It doesn't have the greatest sound. You know, some of the other shortcomings are obviously, you know, the gap down the middle. And, you know, I'll be honest with you, for a while there I was, you know, using the Z Fold 4. And I really found the phone to be, you know, it's a great phone. And I had the Z Fold 3 and the Z Fold 4. Actually, I think I even had the Z Fold 2. And it was a great phone. But when I went back to this one, when I sent my Z Fold 4 to Samsung, I really kind of fell in love with this phone. It's such an incredible design. The feel of this thing. Now, you know, there are arguments on the build quality. So I give the build quality a 10 out of a 10, but I also give it a like 2 out of 10, right? The 2 out of 10 are for the simple things that have happened to this phone. For example, the siding, you know, this white plastic has cracked for many owners, whether it's at the top, at the hinge, or at the bottom where the USB-C plug is. So the quality of that could have been far better. But when it comes to just the opening and closing, the feel of how this phone opens and closes when you're actually using it in your hands, and just the feeling of it sitting in your hands like this, nothing compares to that right now in the market, even still. Now, that being said, I am actually contemplating ordering the Google Pixel Fold. I know that there are not a lot of Canadian-based videos of Canadian YouTubers using the Pixel Fold, so that's something that I was very interested in doing a video on, and thinking about ordering that phone, mainly because I really want to see how it compares to the Surface Duo. Now, I still happen to have the case that I used in one of my previous videos before the Pixel Fold was released, just for size comparison. The one thing that I really love about the Surface Duo is the size. I love this screen being, and secondary, the bezels don't bother me at all. I remember looking at this in Best Buy when this phone first came out, 3 years or thereabouts ago, thinking, wow, those bezels are ugly, and I couldn't look at them. When you start to use the phone and you appreciate its beauty, the pixels or the bezels just kind of disappear. Very similar to, I would imagine, how the Pixel Fold would feel. But when you look at these two side by side, and I've just got these, this is still taped together as I did in my video originally. If you look at them, as nice as that Pixel Fold is, and as big as it is, it's still, so it's almost the same height as the Pixel Fold, as the Duo, pardon me, but it's definitely not anywhere near as wide. And so, as great as that is, as nice of a form factor as that is, it just doesn't compare to the size of this Surface Duo. It really is incredible. I literally would absolutely flip out if somebody would actually make this phone as it stands with a continuous internal screen. I understand that a lot of the Surface Duo diehards say what's so great about this phone is the separate screens, the fact that they're separate. Well, remember, we can do that digitally nowadays quite easily. The Pixel actually is a really good example of that, working on a little bit smaller of a screen. So that's really not as big of an issue. I think what would outweigh the dual separate screens would be the ability to surf the net, watch a movie on YouTube, whatever it may be, without that distracting separation between the two screens. If you had this camera or this phone as it is with a solid screen, obviously it would have to be the plasticized type ones, because you can't have a glass foldable screen. As is, even without a front display, I would buy that phone in a heartbeat, including just the front camera. Now, I would hope that they would make the front camera obviously better than what we're seeing here, but I think that if you had a phone just like this, as is, but with one continuous screen, same idea of the camera, I'm quite fine with having to flip my phone over and take a picture this way. If that camera is at a more, acceptable level in the sense of its megapixels, whatever it, may be, making it better. But at the end of the day, that kind of, in my opinion, that would be almost like my dream phone. So I'm very torn, because the Google Pixel Fold is almost that. Obviously you have the camera island on the back of the Pixel Fold, but you have a very similar book style or passport style phone, just a little smaller. And my concern is it too small? Is it going to be small enough that it's going to reduce that excitement or that love that you would feel? Again, when you hold them up close, they're almost identical in height. Really, the only difference is maybe about a 3/4 to an inch on the width. And would that be enough to take away from that enjoyment? So the second reason why I'm doing this video today is I'm hoping for a little feedback from you guys out there. Whether or not I should order the Google Pixel Fold and start doing some videos on that. I know there are a ton of reviews out there, I get it. It's more about, a perspective from a Canadian, And I thought, what better way than to order that phone and put some videos out there for you all to enjoy. So if I could really ask a huge favor, and that would be anybody who actually watches this video and has some feedback, if they could please comment below two things. How do you feel about the Surface Duo? Do you still love it? Is it still, yeah, you know, in your opinion, a great phone? And secondly, would you like to see me do some videos in the future on the Google Pixel Fold and maybe the comparisons between the two of them? Again, going back to the Surface Duo, I can still remember to this day that moment that I opened up that box for the first time and took that phone out. And even though I'd seen it on a display at Best Buy years and years ago, it was the first time that I actually held it in my hands with no little security thing on it and could actually feel what this weight represented, how it felt in your hands. And I really felt like there was really nothing quite like it out there. And I still believe that today. As close as the Google Pixel Fold is, I think it still doesn't come quite to what this phone brings. And again, if I could have something like that designed, that would be almost identical to this phone, but with the full uninterrupted, pardon me, screen, and everything else very similar. You know, same camera, everything else, and then of course, you know, obviously better software. That's the other thing that the Surface Duo has been notoriously sort of bad for. Then I would love that phone. On a side note, I did recently try the Android 13 port that Ty put out, that Shane was doing some videos on. And I have to say, it was actually pretty incredible. There were lots of comments talking about how fluid and smooth, buttery smooth, that Android 13 was on this phone. And I will give it props. It was incredibly smooth. However, for me, my own personal usage, I was having trouble, or one of the few that were having trouble with data, LTE, and SMS, text messages and stuff not coming through. So much so that I had to flash back to just the normal Android 12 because I just couldn't use it. It was incredible. It looked fantastic. And that also kind of pushed me towards the idea of perhaps looking at the Pixel Fold because of that Pixel experience that the Android 13 brought. The Pixel experience was also incredibly cool on this. And I really am looking forward to a time when that system gets updated further and corrects some of those issues, because I'm still going to have this phone. I'm still going to use it as a secondary device. And if I can get that on there, I would be very tempted to again run this as a main device just to see, you know, how well it works with that Pixel experience. But it is pretty incredible. So again, a short video today, you know, again reviewing Z Fold 4 out for repair. Had to find something to use while that was gone. Picked up another used Surface Duo. I still absolutely love this phone. I still absolutely believe it's one of the best hardware devices out there. And again, not to say that it doesn't have its flaws, but just the idea of how this phone works, how it opens, how it closes, how it just feels in your hands, really is, in my opinion, as good as it gets. And even to today's date, is still unmatched by just about every phone out there, except for potentially that Pixel Fold. For those of you who've maybe used them both, Pixel Fold and Surface Duo, in your comments below, can you let me know how you feel about it and whether or not is this Surface Duo, you know, 3 years later, still a credible phone in today's market, or does the Pixel Fold really, you know, blow it out of the water? And I obviously get that the technical part of it is much better because it's also 3 years newer, right? So nonetheless, please give me your comments. Again, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I really would appreciate if you did that. I'm on this push for 500 subscribers. I would love, you know, anybody who hasn't subscribed to please do so. And thank you for taking the time to watch my videos. I've said it a million times. I'll keep saying it. What an incredible world that I live in, that I can make these videos and people actually take the time to watch them just blows me away. I remember as a kid dreaming about being on the TV or on the big screen. And just the other day, I posted a video on some headphones that I was doing a demo for, and one of my online Discord buddies from my JamGo N1 Ultra projector site, Rob, put a video up and had my video playing on his big screen, and took a shot of it and said, like, who's this guy on my big screen? And to see that is just beyond crazy. Like, it's just unreal. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for you guys taking the time. I would be grateful for a sub and for a like and for a bell icon to be notified, and just to thank you guys all for taking the time to watch my videos. I hope that you have a great rest of the weekend, and we'll talk again soon. Bye-bye.